Well, build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers in association with Leaf Spirits. I'm Matty.
Hello, I'm Colin.
Good evening, I'm John.
How are you both doing today?
Not bad. Had a chippy for my tea, so we change. It was quite nice. First one in ages I've had that. That was decent.
Did you pick it up or did you get it delivered?
I collected it on the way home. I was through in Glasgow this afternoon, so picked it up on the way back.
I think it makes a difference if you pick it up. Like the delivered ones are nowhere near as good. I also had a chippy, but I got mine delivered, and it was good. Also,
What'd you have?
A mini calzone supper.
Oh, you mentioned that before, eh?
Aye, it's really good, really tasty. It's filling though. Can never finish it. And I'm a fat fucker, but
Keep practicing. That's all you need to do.
Keep practicing.
I went to Canada, right?
Never give up.
I went to Canada in, I don't know, late 90s, right? When I played rugby. And one of the places down the road had a big breakfast dish thing, right? And there was 2 or 3 boys went there on like the first morning. And they were like, come back. I went, fucking hell, couldn't finish it. It's fucking loads because you've got pancakes and everything with your bacon and eggs and all that. And they're like, but I'm going to keep up. By the end of this 10 days, I think we were, I'll fucking finish that plate. Just practice.
Aye, just keep at it.
3 attempts.
What's your favourite dinner, John? Might as well ask you while we're talking about it before we get into the grimness of Hibernian.
I had some slow-cooked chilli because I never got the chippy tea memo off you two.
Nice one.
It was nice, but I think I would have preferred a sausage supper or something.
Can't go wrong with that, eh? There's a wee chippy down in Dalgetty Bay. There's a cracking haggis supper if you're ever down there. Dalgetty Bay Fish Bar, I think it's called. Decent fish and chips there. We went to the Brig in Dunfermline just because that delivers quicker. Anyway, right, we'll get some highlights up and talk through them. Just as I'm getting them ready, let me just get your thoughts on the game overall yesterday. So, Colin, I'll come at you first. What was your view on yesterday's defeat?
I thought the game in general was shite. I thought it was crap. But we were all right for the first, I don't know, wee while. But it felt all right, and then we've got an early goal, and I thought, oh, that's good because then that takes the pressure off, or not that there's any pressure, but you know what I mean. It takes that, or it makes them come out like what we've said about last week's game, and what we did in the day against St Johnstone the first time and all that. But then it just went for. It was just shite after that. When it was a terrible game, mistakes all over the shop, and as you know. In a group chat we're in, I put in it about 70 minutes. How do you think Ross County's got to score the winner? And then it was a defensive error, which was the correct answer. I didn't go specifically for goalkeeping mistake because I didn't have time to list it because folks started answering.
It would have been
before I'd got my list in.
It would have been, I think the word is serendipitous if you'd said something about distribution because you've been banging that drum for a wee while now.
I know. All I thought was. Poor fucking Matt Macy, eh? He got a fuck.
Got a hard time. I'm going to get I was going to put the highlights up first, but I'm just going to get a wee note of the team sheet so we can talk through that because there was a couple of changes on it. John, what about you? What were your thoughts on the game as well?
Not too different for Collins in terms of it being a pretty shite game overall. I thought that it was probably pretty indicative of Hibs' season so far. Like we had chances, and I thought that even though what Colin was saying there around about 70 minutes about how Ross County might win, I thought there was times where we were under pressure, but I thought we were creating the better of the chances, albeit not putting them away. And I thought that we would go on and win it. And then Wollacott's had a brain fart. And we've lost, but it wasn't a classic. And I think we were let down by mistakes again, which is really, really hard to take, especially after what was a pretty good performance last week. Albeit the goal that we conceded last week was probably kind of similar to the 2 mistakes that we had yesterday that resulted in the goals. just really, really cheap.
There's a bit of discussion after the game. I suppose we'll come on to it because we'll go through the talking points and the highlights about like so it was individual mistakes again yesterday that cost us, right? Both of the goals come from howlers in the defensive areas, and some people were sort of putting that up as mitigations to say there's nothing the manager can do about that. Do you subscribe to that view, John?
How long can I pause? I think I don't think that anyone will ever come up with a definitive way to win or to win that sort of argument, because I know that on the one side you'll say, right, as soon as the players cross the line, it's their responsibility to enact what the manager's telling them. And then the other side of that is, well, maybe the manager isn't good enough to communicate to them what he requires from them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take the Bashiri situation, I was actually thinking we would try to put a bit of a positive spin on it and say that rather than it being a mistake, I thought we would put it down as an assist, because it was a brilliantly cushioned header for Simon Murray.
Aye, I'm not sure that's how assists work for
No,
defenders, but I like the thinking. I like the thinking though.
But it's funny because we were talking just before we started about like the number of talking points and how it differed compared to last week. Like we got beat yesterday, we won last week. Things are quiet when you win, albeit, folk were saying that the bottom six is largely irrelevant. You try and finish as high up as possible. We're safe. There's no chance of getting dragged into the playoff spot. But then you see that it does mean something when you get beat to Ross County. That seemed to be just like amplified. Like suddenly it was get them out, clear out, top to bottom, CEO.
Is it
all
Ross
that sort of
County
stuff.
though? Is it defeat to Ross County, or is it the manner of the defeat to whoever? Because is it just because it was Ross County? Because everybody acknowledges Ross County away is generally always shit for us, right? But even this season, I think we've let 2 goals in every time we've played them. Is that right? Well, definitely the last 3 times. But it's the manner of it. It was like we started off all right and then we just gave up. Like, just didn't look like there was any effort.
I thought the same. Like I thought we were good value, and we got our opening goal, and then 5-6 minutes later we've had a mistake, and it seemed to be at that point we started to get nervy, which is something that we've seen earlier in the season. But as I say, like I thought we were creating chances throughout the game, and as much like when I was looking at the stats in that back, and I was looking at the highlights and what have you, like I don't think the highlights were that reflective, because I remember thinking at the game like, oh Christ, we're under a bit of pressure. But there was, as I say, there was other chances for us to go and score. Like Martin Boyle, I think second half through on goal, a Martin Boyle of last season say probably goes and scores that. But as we acknowledged last week, there's maybe a bit of a confidence issue there. There was chances first half. I think there was one where Marcondes kind of delays a little bit, and he seems to be maybe caught in 2 minds as to whether to go for a shot or play in my leader. He does eventually play in my leader, and I think Laidlaw makes the save. The thing about Ross County and being away from home, I was having a look at this as well, because Matt had mentioned something about Don Cowie and his record since he'd taken over. So of course I was like, right, let's go again fact check that. Not that Matty was suggesting that he was in the right. I thought, let's go fact check it before we start hammering someone. So I think Don Cowie's had something like 11 games since the 7th or 11th of February this year.
It's 10, is it not? Is it 10 games?
10, 11.
Oh, right, doesn't matter.
But during that time, and as we've acknowledged in the podcast previously, or added, I think since then, at Dingwall in particular, they seem to be pretty tricky up at Dingwall. They've got results against Rangers, their first ever victory against them.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Hearts, that are third in the league, and now they've beaten us as well. So it's like, I wonder, are we being too hard on ourselves? Like
No.
we've been beat.
Can I tell you why no?
Go for it.
Right. Where were Ross County when Don Cowie took over? Like, how good were they when he took over?
I don't know. My recollection is that Derek Adams said that they were all shy.
They were just off the back of a 5-0 defeat from Motherwell, right? He took over on the 8th of February, right? They were in the playoff place, still in danger of getting caught by Livingston. So he said, no transfer window. Right, Don Cowie's come in, 8th of February, transfer window's been and gone. No budget to spend, there's no got great facilities. And yet with that team, they're just off the back of a 5-0 defeat of Motherwell and really, really toiling. He's got, as you say, so he's had bad results as well. Livingston, I think, have beat them. Aberdeen have beat them, right? So, I can't remember if St Johnstone have beat them or not, right? So it's not like it's been plain sailing for the guy. But at home, a win against Rangers, a win and a draw against us, and a win against Hearts. Now you could say that he's made it a tough place to go, and you're right. It's definitely harder than it was before. Our manager came in, has had since September to work with the team. He's had a transfer window. He's got a big fucking training centre, and however much was spent in January to get those kind of results, and he's not done it. So it's no just like, oh, Ross County's a tough place to go. It's tough because their manager's gone in and done a job. Our manager hasn't. So I just didn't think that stands up. Ross County away wasn't a difficult venue until Don Cowie took over. And it's only there because he's doing a better job than our guy is.
But hang on, did we not have these difficulties under Lee Johnson as well? Like Ross County was a difficult place to go, and who was manager before that? There's been that many. I'm forgetting who they were now.
Is it just us? But before there was it just us that were having issues. Ross County were shite all season. Ross County were having one of the worst seasons that they've had in however long. They're scraping along at the bottom of the league. Like I think I don't mean you, John, right? But I think we make too many excuses for Hibs. When things go like Colin, we talked about it before when I was trying to explain away about why we didn't win at Livingston, and it's because it's shite there, and like
pitch isn't good, and they're not used to
the
playing.
bit about our players can't play the way the manager wants to play and all the rest of it. But you go, well, there's a guy going in with no coaching, no management experience. Right? He was assistant to Malky Mackay or Derek Adams. I can't remember exactly, but he's taken over. It's his first management job. It's the second worst team in the league, by a close margin to being the worst team in the league. He's not been able to revamp the squad. He's not been able to go and bring players in and reinforcements. He's just got more out of the guys that he's got there.
Aye.
And
Stop making mistakes and go motivate them a wee bit.
They beat us because they work hard. That was it. Like their winner comes for them in the last couple of minutes of the game, chasing us down and forcing a mistake, right, for the goalkeeper, which we'll come on to it. But I think we go, Ken Monty needs more time. He needs to get the players in. They can't play football. It's not like he's played like asking them to play like prime fucking Brazil. He's but play out for the back. Every team does that to an extent now. To this kind of like keep the ball, be a bit sort of possession based. In a decent team, right? No, any team. It's basic stuff. Footballers can do it. They're not being asked to be terrific. This notion that it's no Monty's fault because he's not had the transfer windows or he's not had the players that can play football and all the rest of it, or Dingwall's a hard place to go. No, it's fucking no. Loads of cunts went up there. Like, we find it hard for some reason. I think why Hibs find it hard.
Mental block.
I just think, like, I think we accept it and we have these discussions, and
I don't think we do accept it. And I don't think we do accept it. I think that we try and find reasons. I think accepting it, or suggesting that we accept it, verges on the whole accepted mediocrity catchphrase that gets bandied about.
That's fair. Yeah.
What I would say is, like, I think we've acknowledged. Now, I don't know, like, who was manager before Derek Adams?
Malky Mackay.
Malky Mackay. So how long was Malky Mackay in charge?
What,
he had a good couple of years.
Aye.
Yeah.
So he had a season and a half. So there was a bit more stability there than Hibs had.
And then he sacked him. He went backwards, and so they sacked him.
Like, what I'm trying to understand is like we are admittedly in a shitey position, right?
Yes.
For 7th in the league, just been beat by Ross County, and like we're talking about Don Cowie, and we're talking about how he's gotten a performance out of his team, but he's had like 3 notable results, like the ones that we're describing against us. The victory yesterday, there was the victory against Rangers, a victory against Hearts, but what's the extension of that? Like, where are Ross County? Like, is he going to progress them? Is he going to have them? Is he going to be in charge of them for some time?
I don't
Or
know.
is he, or will he find himself going the way of someone like Derek Adams, for example? Like, are we, I don't know, are we aspiring to be better through trying to do something different? Or not necessarily trying to do something different by fucking trying not to make the same mistake that we keep making, which is keeping sacking managers. Like, we can't have a situation where we say, right, the fucking bottom 6 are relevant, and then go, right, we've been beat by Ross County, so fuck them, get them out.
Nobody
That
said the
doesn't
bottom
make
6.
any sense to me.
We never said the bottom 6 was irrelevant. The club
We
says
never,
it wasn't
but
irrelevant. The club
we
said
never, but there are supporters that are saying it. Like, it seems to be this, like, it's like this two-sided coin where if you win, it doesn't matter, but if you get beat, it really matters.
I think right, and this is like the point. The point I was making with it, right, is we make these excuses or reasons for it, and I think sometimes we need to actually just say, like, question how valid they are. Because, like, for me, if we have a season where we beat Hearts and we beat Rangers, even if it was once each, we're like that's better than we've been doing for the last wee while. Like, when was the last time we beat Rangers? Jack Ross in the cup,
Aye.
right? And before that, you're going back a wee while. We've not a league win against them for fucking years. To do them in the space of a few weeks each other, we'd be feeling pretty good about that, right? Now we would be feeling pretty bad about the defeats to Livingston that Don Cowie's had. So I'm not saying we need to play like Ross County or hire Don Cowie or anything like that. But what I'm saying is, like, we excuse, like, we can't beat Rangers because they've got a bigger budget than us. Well, there's Ross County went and done it. Kilmarnock have done it. Motherwell have done it. But for some reason, that's too big a block for Hibs to do it. We can't beat Hearts, even though, like, we run them close. We've drawn a couple of games with them. There's Ross County done it with a manager that's taken a shit team, and within a few weeks has got that result, and he's beat us while he's at it. And all the while we're sort of saying, well, the manager needs time or the club needs stability. Ross County changed the manager and did that. See, for the 4 league wins, so it's 4 league wins that Don Cowie's had since he took over on the 8th of February. Montgomery's done about the same, but to get our 5th league win, you have to go back to the start of December. Like, so that's another 2 months for one extra league win. Now, I know there's a bit of a gap in January, John, which skews the narrative on that a wee bit, right? So I'll caveat that. But it still shows you, like, where are our expectations if we're not calling that out and just saying, like, we can rationalise it and you can explain it away. There's VAR decisions, there's injuries, and all the rest of it. Ross County have had VAR decisions go against them. Ross County have had injuries. The boys come in and turned it around in the space of a couple of months, and we're still scrabbling around going, "Oh, but it'll be better when this happens. He needs another transfer window. He needs time." I just think, why? Why is it us that need the time? Why is it not every other club?
This, I feel like this is a bit of a stuck record conversation because we've had it before where sacking a manager doesn't bring success. It doesn't guarantee success.
No, nothing does.
And
So
need,
does
and,
it?
need, and the flip side of it is that neither does sticking with the manager, but we've got a long record of sacking managers and not improving. So why not do something different? And if we go back to some of the questions that like prompted this, which was about players and mistakes and players constantly making mistakes. Why should Montgomery not be given the opportunity to, for example, Bashiri's made 2 high-profile errors. One yesterday, there was the one in the derby. Why should he not be given the opportunity to replace him? Montgomery never signed him in the first place, so why should he not be given the opportunity to replace him?
Yeah, they had January to replace him.
He brought in Triantis.
Why? Who else? Fucking Wollacott. Montgomery never signed him, so should he not be given the opportunity to move him on because the players there are players in the house squad throughout the season, as we've discussed, that have made numerous mistakes, both defensively and not being able to put chances away. So why should Montgomery not be given the opportunity to replace those players?
How many windows do you think it's going to take to replace a full first team so that Montgomery doesn't have any players that have made mistakes before him?
I don't know, but were you not talking in a previous podcast about having the money available for any manager to have, like, to properly clear the squad of everyone that wasn't up to standard?
But that was me saying that's what I would do. Like, but I'm not in charge of Easter Road. Do you know what I mean? What I said was I would go and have a proper clear out. If you're the money men at Easter Road, or money women, then be prepared to pay for the mistakes that you've made. Clear out the decks and give the new manager or the manager the chance to rebuild. That's not what they're going to do, though. I don't think that's what they're going to do. I was just saying that's what I would do.
So what? This is one of the challenges that I find with it. Like, where do we find ourselves then, and what is, like, who gets, like, how long does any manager realistically get in charge of Hibs? Is it less than a season? Is it a season and a wee bit?
I think it depends on
Depends
how
what
well
the
they.
results are.
It depends how well they do, John. Doesn't it? And even then, even if they're really, really good, we're not getting them for more than what, 2 years, and they'll go because a bigger club will come in, pay them more money. There'll be a better opportunity somewhere else for them. Like the idea that we're going to have any manager in for 4, 5, 6 years, building some Alex Ferguson dynasty at the club is just, it's pie in the sky.
I think we need to change our expectations then, because that instant success just isn't going to happen. The instant.
We spoke, John, sorry to interrupt, but when we spoke about getting a new manager after Johnson got sacked, we said we need somebody who's got to come in and make the players he's got currently here better. Right? I definitely did. I can't remember any disagreement on it. We've not got a window till January. He's here in September. He's got 3 months. He needs to just come in. No excuses. We've got no excuses not to finish top 4, not even top 6, because that squad there is all right. He should be able to make it better. Johnson's not doing a good job. He's not motivating them. Come in, motivate. That's the manager we need. That wasn't even talking about Montgomery. That was just saying what kind of manager we needed. And we're sitting here, we're worse than we were. And we're now saying clear out the whole squad. In September, we weren't. We were actually thinking the squad was all right. He's made them look worse.
In January, when we brought players in, we were thinking it would be.
But does that, like, I feel like we're talking about, like, we sacked a manager and we've got worse, and we're talking about sacking another manager.
So we need somebody who can get better out of the players, eh? And he's just not got better out of the players.
Well,
we go back, what, maybe 2 years, and we're having the same conversation about, I can't remember who it was. Who was pre-Johnson? Maloney.
Yeah.
And it was Ross before that. I'm trying to remember the exact conversation, but I remember us having a bit of laugh and saying, like, we'd be as well having no manager. Like, just getting a guy in, like, on a week-to-week contract, because it's like, it seems like
maybe get Don Kelly 1 week, because he can obviously motivate his players and get them to stop making mistakes. Because we've got a guy here that we're going to stick with, who just gets excuses made for him that the players keep making me mistakes. So, like, well, tell them to fucking stop making mistakes. It's your job.
Well,
okay, like, let's say we sack Montgomery and the players that are making the mistakes remain. What happened? Like, do we just never move those players on if they're not performing to the expectation?
They move on as well, John. I think this is where we're at. Is there's lots of people at the club that now need to move on. That's where we're at. That's the situation is, because of the way that the club's been run, the signings that we've made, the appointments that we've made in the dugout, it's not worked for whatever reasons. Lots of people need to move on. We're sitting bottom 6. We just lost to Ross County. The season's a damn squib. Like, we can't just go, we'll just keep doing what we're doing and roll over to the next season. Hope it gets better when there's nothing tangible there to say.
But what we keep doing is emptying managers.
That's not all that we've got. So that's like saying The flaw in that argument, John, the way that I see it is that's your only one single point of failure. And what I was saying is I think there's multiple points of failure at the club now, of which one of them is, in my opinion, the manager based on performances and results. So it's not one change that we need to make at the club to improve things. There's a number of changes that need to be made. But I think one of those changes, for me, I mean, it's just my opinion, is the manager, because I don't think he's getting as much out of the team as we would want. Anyway, right. I'm sure we'll cover a lot of stuff in the talking points, and we will end up just going back out.
We might just go through the talking points.
round-
Yep.
Yeah, tick,
done
tick.
that.
Round in circles with it. But let's say, look at the starting 11. So, Colin, starting 11, when it came out, right, we had Wollacott, Hanlon, Vente, Boyle, Newell, Cadden, Mizian, Emiliano, Abita, Mariah Welsh, and Rocky. Actually, first of all, what do you think of this mix of surnames and forenames in the team lineup? Are you a fan, or would you prefer it consistent?
Struggle with calling Bashiri Rocky. I actually, do you know what? I don't struggle. I just refuse to do it.
It's only Rocky, eh? That they've done that way.
No, Emiliano and
aye.
Mizian as well.
Oh, right, okay.
And Jair as well,
Hmm.
number 29 there in the subs bench.
Yeah. Do you think that's a player preference thing? Because that's what they want on their shirt.
Maybe, could be that. What about then out of position as well, which is the other thing, like there's...
I'm not happy with that. We spoke about that before. I'm not happy about the order. You thought it was numerical order before, but look, they've got Wollacott at the top.
Aye.
They do put the goalie in at the top. I think we suggested, or I probably suggested before, the goalie would be in the middle.
Did we
number one? But...
see when we did our 1992 thing? Did we not say that the goalkeeper, there's some sort of ruling, UEFA ruling, that says that they must be listed first?
I don't know if it was UEFA. It was the Scotland did the cap. It went by cap, didn't it? I think with the exception of the goalkeeper, who's just listed first anyway. Anyway, right. When you saw the lineup, Colin, what were your thoughts? A couple of changes. So we had Vente come in, and Wollacott come in, and Hanlon come in.
I thought, it's just the same then. Apart from Marshall must be injured. I think what I thought at the time. Because I thought, well, Hanlon, it's injuries. Well, Hanlon's in for injury as well, for
Fish.
And Vente, you're going to be playing your fit striker that costs money, that scored a good goal last week ahead of the sort of 38-year-old guy that was just here as a bit part player anyway. So I wasn't surprised at those, other than the keeper, because I didn't know Marshall was injured.
So how about you? Your initial thoughts on the lineup?
I think the thing that jumped out for me was Vente starting over Lefondre. I think we acknowledged that Lefondre didn't have a great game against St Johnstone. He was kind of huffing and puffing a wee bit. And the irony being that both of them did exactly that yesterday. Other than that, I think Wollacott obviously stood out because he was in for Marshall, but if you subscribe to our listener Raymond Brown's theory, there wasn't too much of a surprise because he'd already been pictured in the Friday's training that Hibs had released on Twitter. So,
aye, I think the only other thing that jumped out for me was we had two goalies on the bench, Johnston and Owens, which was a weird thing to do.
I didn't know Owens was a keeper, until I seen it in the chat. Like I was one of the chats kind of was like, who's Owens? I thought he was just a young laddie. Well, he is, but why do we bother with two goalies on the bench? Like, I know you've got to do that in Europe, but why are we doing that?
I don't know. I mean, we had a bit of chat about it before, and there's maybe a bit of experience for the boy, get like a chance to get him with the match day squad. But I don't know. Like I didn't get the logic with it unless maybe Johnson wasn't feeling great. They brought him up as a backup or something. Anyway, we'll get into the action. You'll have seen there. This is on Twitter, on the Sky Sports Scotland Twitter. They've posted the highlights, so we're just sharing off of Twitter now. So the first goal comes in Short corner, Boyle fires it in. Rocky gets the slide in, and Mizian taps it in. Thoughts on the goal, John?
But thoughts at the time were that it was an interesting corner routine. Like, I mean, I didn't mean like it was particularly complicated, just that Neil didn't go for the in-swinger. I thought it was a decent delivery for Boyle. I thought we were a wee bit fortunate with the VAR review. I was quite happy that Bashiri was in there challenging the ball, and it's bounced favourably off the post. And Melida's not quite slammed it in, but maybe he wasn't able to slam it in because his pantaloons were restricting him.
His shorts or something else, he made sure it went in, though. I mean, that's the main thing. Colin, on the VAR review, were you surprised to see the goal given, or do you think there was a chance it could have been given for... It was a handball and Emiliano they were looking at, wasn't it?
It was. So it's a funny one, because in a way I'm not surprised, because I think it's a handball. I think you ever get that against you. But in another way, I thought, fuck, they're checking it. We'll probably fucking get this chopped off just because of the way the season's went. But I don't think it's a handball. I don't think you get that. He's just fell on it.
I think if the way the rule is, had Emiliano kicked the ball in, having hit it there, it would have been a free kick to the Ross County.
What if Rocky hadn't hit the post? What would that have been?
So if Rocky had scored, it counts. It's only if the goal scorer, that's my understanding of it, it's only if the goal scorer handles it that they bring it back. They would ignore handballs before it, as we've seen with other goals already this season. So when I saw what they were looking at, I was like, the problem is I have no faith in them being consistent.
Aye.
So there was that sort of nervousness, isn't there? Like, oh fucking hell, they're going to disallow it, but thankfully they gave it. The Ross County equaliser, so the ball comes in. Rocky, John, you called it an assist.
Yeah.
Actually, looking at it there, it's not far off an assist, isn't it? It kind of just cushions it
It's
down
a
nicely.
wonderfully cushioned either, eh?
What do you think he was going for there?
I think the cross, this isn't me trying to excuse it. I think it's, can you rewind it a wee bit? Does it bounce?
You'll see it again as it comes up.
I can't remember if it seemed to me that it comes into that awkward place between like sort of chest height and he doesn't quite know whether to kick it or header it.
Do you think he could have taken a touch, Colin?
Yep. 2, 3, 4 touches if you wanted them. I think
Is Abita getting, sorry Colin, is Abita not getting any criticism there? Like, is he out of position when the cross gets delivered? He seems to be ahead of the boy when the pass is played down the right-hand side.
So Abita is tracking back, but I think from memory it's because we had been attacking when Ross County won the ball back. So I don't know if Abita is out of position there or if that's just a consequence of the way that we were attacking. But I mean, he certainly wasn't close to the guy to close down the cross. I don't know if that answers you, John.
Yeah, no. I mean, someone else that's a bit more tactically minded or has got more coaching experience would be able to explain that. To me, it looks like
shift the blame a bit.
It's no shifting the blame. It's trying to understand the different parts of what went wrong in that goal.
Yeah.
Because like, probably something happened just before that we've lost the ball, so do they get the blame? Whereas actually, it's a simple fucking ball into the box for a centre half to just deal with, and he never. Right, so it's a shitey header. The sports team tried to explain it by saying he's almost panicking because I think Simon Murray's on his back, and he's not this time, right? Simon Murray's like, I'll just wait and making a mistake rather than actually pressuring him to make the mistake. And he probably thought he had less time than he did, which is why he never took the 2, 3, 4 touches that he actually had time for to get rid of it. It's a good finish for Murray, though.
It was a good finish for Murray. I'm just going to ping it on to sort of the decisive moment in the game, because we'll get on to the talking points. And if we go through the misses and that, then we'll be well beyond time. So
that was quality, that one for Mizian there.
You want to see that one, do you? Right?
Sat the boy in his arse a few times, and then I say a few times once, but he kept cutting in and out a few times. And the
Aye.
boys with his arse, and he just skims the
Like,
post.
it's
It was it.
off the outside of the post, and if he scores it,
Yeah.
we're 2-1 up, and it's a different fucking outcome to the game.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the
Well,
goal.
maybe it would have been 2-2.
So this move starts from. You
Come
just see
back to
on
this
the
one.
on the
Is it not
highlights.
on the highlights?
Joe Newell plays it back to Wollacott. So we've got the ball
Aye.
about halfway. Newell passes it back into Wollacott. Wollacott passes out. The forward intercepts it. It's a simple ball in. He turns handling, scores.
Mhm.
John, how typical a Hibs goal to lose was that this season?
It's like every other. It feels like every other goal that we've conceded this
Aye.
season. Like
Come on, it
every
was a wee
other
bit like
mistake.
it was a wee bit like the one Levitt when he passed it out to the guy at St Johnstone.
Johnstone,
Although the guy
yeah.
hit a shot that time. You know.
And this was obviously with a couple of minutes to go. So the sort of decisive moment in the game. I'll not show you on the highlights, but there was a bit. Let me just close that down. There was a bit post match where Nick Montgomery and the players go over to the crowd, and I think Montgomery's on his way back, and Emiliano calls him back over to get more interaction with the support. What did you make of that moment, Colin?
Oh, I've not seen them dragging him back over. I've seen the somebody saying that's what he'd done, and then I've seen Hanlon come over and saying to Emiliano, "What'd you do that for?" That's what it looks like he's saying. That's one bit I don't like about Emiliano's game. Like I know he can be a good footballer when he does his stuff, but I think I've said it on here before, so I hope I'm not looking like I'm doing it with hindsight, but he's pointed at other players before as if to say, should have passed it there, or should, and it's like he's like, is everybody watching me telling them how they're not as good as me? And it's a wee bit like blame shifting. And that's maybe he was thinking, oh, I'm getting shouted at here. Let's get the manager over to take the brunt of it, and that's his job. So I'm not a fan of it. Not a fan of it. I quite like a team that's a team rather than I like individuals that can do individually good things. But I think a team need to be a team, and I think he thinks he's maybe above that a wee bit. That's the perception he's given me. Yeah.
Apparently, it does smell very nice, though.
Yeah.
I've heard.
Can I just say on that goal, Newell he passed it back to the keeper. He had an easier pass inside into midfield. Cadden's just across from him, but he didn't want to use his right foot by the looks of it, so he's went left foot back to the keeper rather than just sweeping it over with his right over to Cadden over on the other side of the pitch. And I think that's poor. I think it's poor to the one-sided. I said it the other day. Did I say it on here? 0.01% or something of players that are in the youth systems make it to professional level. Yet we end up with all these fucking players that can't use their bad foot. Like Boyle last week with that outside of the foot flick. Newell this week when they pass it across with his right foot. And you think, like, how does this happen? If you've got the pick is 0.01%, why are you picking the ones that can only use the fucking one foot?
It's a fair point. John, that pass back at that stage of the game. So the game's still one each, still there to be won. I really know to try and read too much into these things, but is that just sort of like symptomatic of where Hibs have been this season, and that we've just not had the wherewithal to sort of close out, not even close out a game, but to try and win a game late on? It's like a safety first to keep the ball. And actually, if you look at how we lost the game at Ross, or drew the game at Ross County earlier in the season, you're sort of scratching your head to go, how have we conceded a goal from this position? The last time it was, I think our goal kick, there's seconds left. We put the ball out, they take a quick throw in, and the next thing it's 2-2 or 1-1. Can't even mind what the bloody score was in that game, right? 1-1. Today, we've got a throw in, we've got the ball comfortable in our half with our midfielder. 2 passes later, we've lost the ball and we're a goal behind.
Is there a question there?
Aye, is it reflected in the team's attitude? Like, why are we not going for a forward pass there? I suppose
I think it's possibly indicative of a lack of confidence in the squad, so they go for the easier option rather than the more adventurous option. But if I've learned anything from watching football for the last 30 odd years, it quite often ends up biting you in the bum, taking the easy option.
Mhm.
Because as Colin says it, like it's weird because it's not the goal isn't the result of Joe Neal's pass, but you could say that's where it starts from because he doesn't play a simpler pass with a right foot. He goes for his trusted left back to the goalkeeper. It's kind of like it's a wee bit like, I'm not saying that Joe Newell was doing that, but it's like giving the responsibility to someone else, like allowing someone else to make the mistake for you. And I mean, we're saying that with the benefit of hindsight. You don't know what would have actually happened had Joe Newell actually played that pass right-footed to, was it Chris Cadden you said, Colin?
Cadden, I think, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Or if Wollacott plays the pass to Cadden and it reaches
Well,
up.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, like, I was watching
Because it's not like, sorry, John, it's not like, so I think Neil should have placed that pass, right? But the ball he's played, the goalie should be able to deal with as well. It's not like he's put him under pressure. He's got time to fucking do whatever he wants.
Plenty of time. And I don't know, like, the way that I actually missed the Joe Newell pass back and the highlights, and I'd forgotten about it at the time. It was like Wollacott passed it out, but it's almost like he's playing the pass, but Cadden's not looking. And I don't know whether that's Cadden's problem or whether that's Wollacott's problem or if it's both. Because Cadden looks like he's away. I don't know if he's about to start running down the right-hand side, but the pass comes to him. What the fuck? Has to start trying to run back. But by that point, the Ross County player's got the run on him, and it's academical at that point. It's a goal.
It was just poor. I mean, poor all round. But I thought Wollacott had a poor game in general, though. Like for all the shouts that were getting him in, particularly early in the season when Marshall was out of form, I think it's pretty evident on the basis of that display why he's no featured much this season, Colin.
Yeah. I think, is it 2 league games he's played, both against Ross County? He's like 4 goals, and we were at John, I was at the game with you, the Ross County one at home, the 2-2 one. His distribution was all right that night. It was his goalkeeping that was a problem, but
it was his handling.
Whereas yesterday it was just everything really, like because there was even the one where it took a deflection off Rocky, it hit the post, but it looked really slow. But I get it, it's a deflection, and but he never even moved. Like it was past him, it was done. If that had been a ball here, to use the proper terminology, into the inside of the post, and you think, fucking never even moved there. I think the guys I know that were up there at the game were saying that he wasn't giving anybody any good vibes either. It's a wee bit of a shame because obviously we've signed them for money and that. Maybe it's the goalies take some time to find their feet or hands, like to settle in, because he's had 2 games and they've been that was fucking Halloween, I think, the last time, then the 4th of May. It's quite a gap, he's not had a chance there to get used to it, to communicate with the defence and that. He's just come in and.
Are we making excuses? Should we just get him out, get someone else in?
Expect more, You would expect more. I mean, some of that kicking and that, you go, is that really going to get any better?
His kicking was pretty stinking yesterday. Actually, I was going to jump to his defence a wee bit and say that he had a couple of good blocks, but the kicking was definitely a bit ropey. And actually, I say a bit ropey, it fucking cost us a goal.
Ropey is probably an understatement. Now, let's get to the talking points. And I dare say we'll cover up a fair bit of what folk want us to as we go through here. So the first one we've got is from Fred Leggett. At Force of Fred said that Wollacott should have been instructed at half time not to pass the ball along the ground. It was obvious he simply couldn't do it from early on. Too many players who need to go. So we kind of touched there about the need for players to move on. John, you are like the sort of I think the voice of reason sometimes, like
I try to be.
And I have made a case for there being a big clear out. How big a rebuild do you think is required in the summer?
Quite significant, I think. I think we've touched on, and I'd mentioned a couple of fan favourites and like former players of the year that I just didn't think embodied what I think Montgomery's trying to do at Hibs. So, and this isn't meant to be critical of the individual. It's more reflective of things that we've seen him do in games. So like Joe Newell, for example, at Motherwell, when they scored that late equaliser, like he's kind of standing there, like sort of looking to, I don't know, not shield the ball, but he's not closing it down.
Mhm.
You're probably looking for someone like a Nick Montgomery type when he was playing to go and put their face in the way of it, basically. Wollacott, as Colin touched on there, like we've seen him in a couple of games so far, and he's cost us goals with his handling and with his kicking, so he's probably got to go. Marshall's reaching the end of his career, so there's another goalkeeper that could be on his way out. We know that Hanlon and Stevenson, I say we know, like it certainly looks like there was a thing for Hanlon saying that there was going to be some sort of communication in the next couple of weeks, but it certainly looks like they're ending their time at Hibs.
Mhm.
How many players is that we've mentioned so far? 5?
Yeah, I think so.
That's half a
We
team.
done an extra time. We done an extra time on it about a month ago, and we cleaned it out. Mind we were saying we'll be ruthless about it.
Yeah.
Aye. So
I mean,
there's
in reality, in that starting lineup there, in that squad that was listed yesterday, 18 players or however many it is, there's about 4 or 5 that you would say keep. And that would be Cadden, 2 of them are Mizian and probably Emiliano,
Yeah.
depending on stuff about, as I say, about being a team player and that.
A beat on Cadden.
A beaten. I said Cadden already, so that's 4 with Beta. Can't think who maybe Venti, maybe.
I'm not even convinced Venti makes it. Like, for certainly the manager doesn't seem to rate him, and for the money that we spent on him, the return hasn't really been great. I think it would be fair to say. Whether that's down to Venti or whether that's the way that we've played or whatever is probably a discussion for another day. But I think you're probably right. There's a handful of players in that starting lineup that you would be, I don't even say desperate to see back next season, but that you would be all right with still being in the next season.
And that's just the matchday squad. I'll not labour the point on the names, but I think there's 18 players out on loan as well. So you're talking about potentially 2 teams worth, 2 starting 11s of players who will be moved on.
It's huge, isn't it?
Or need to be moved on.
Gavin Skeen said, the most boring end of season, and to be fair, early and mid-season in our history. Yawn fest week after week and comatose. Colin, I think we commented through the game how dull it was. Has this been the most boring season you can remember?
Probably because we've not even got the excitement of a relegation battle. You know what I mean? It's like actual proper boring. We're kind of fighting for 7th place. We might hang on to it. We might end up 9th. Right? We'll not be any worse than 9th. But the games are dull as fuck. Like, you know, because you've not got that edge on them anyway, because we're kind of playing for nothing. But also the football's like, I know it was better last week, and we've heard, oh, it is good. We're trying to play good stuff. Honestly, I'm struggling to see the good bits.
It's funny, John. I'll get your thoughts. So 20 minutes yesterday, up until we conceded, I thought we looked good, and I was enjoying it. Like I was like, we're creating lots here. We could win. The report on the radio after it, they were enthused about the game. Like John Robertson was on getting, oh, what a game of football, and end to end, it was like basketball. I reckon this boy's watched a different game for me. It was fucking shite. John, where did you land on it? Was it dull, or was it exciting, or was it somewhere in between?
I think I can see where the pundits' description of it being end to end, I think there came from, but I think they're maybe over-egging it a little bit. Like there was definitely chances for both teams. They were. I'm trying to find the right words here. I was going to say that they were both having a go, but again, that probably makes it sound better than it actually was. As we saw there, my impression at the time was, especially after we'd conceded, was that Hibs were under a little bit of pressure of their own making, that they were starting to get a wee bit nervous. And we mentioned there was the 2 balls and the 2 shots that sort of like one of them trundled along the line. There was a header that went wide of the post. They had one that hit the crossbar, but we had chances of our own. We had Mailida hitting outside the post, Boyle firing straight at the keeper. Like there was definite chances in the game. But I think perhaps the bits in between that, as I think a lot of games can be, it was a bit of a grind. It was 2 teams in the bottom 6, one of them in the relegation zone. It was that kind of game.
A lot of mistakes in it as well. That sort of characterised the game. The amount of unforced mistakes was unreal. Jeff Ashton, Jeff, congratulations for he did the cycle hammed into Easter Road today as well for the what was it, the charity? It was autism charity,
Autism.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So well done, Jeff. He says difficult watch. As has happened all season, individual mistakes killing us, meaning we have to score at least 2 to get a point. Usually, we all know a big clear out was needed. This just reinforced it. What it didn't reinforce was confirmed that Nick Montgomery is the man to do it. Fence sitting. Colin, you've been sort of, I don't know, on the manager.
Yeah.
You still don't know?
No, I think I'm kind of sold now, but I'm still off that we need to change more than just the manager. But I think part of the change has to be, I don't see how we can. I'm not seeing any signs that he can change anything, and I don't know if I trust him with the money. So I think we need to change other stuff and not just the manager, like I've been saying. But I think part of the clue would have to be that I can't see, and I don't know how he wins folk back either. I think he's constantly going to be uphill battle trying to win hearts and minds again. It's like just get somebody in that's got hearts and minds right away. And that solves that issue.
John, I'll maybe pose that question, not the same question, because we'll go round in circles again. What do you think a manager's chances of turning it around with the fans when they've got to this point where Monty is, where a large section of the support, right? So it's not quite everybody, but it feels like a lot of folk have made up their mind already. How does a manager win that back?
You start by winning games.
I think,
do you know what?
That's
Do you
what I was
know
hoping he was
what?
going to do in these last 5. But
I think there's maybe like a little bit of absence makes the heart grow fonder. Like, who was it said it? Gavin Skinner was saying it was the most boring end of season, early and mid season. Like, this season's been a bit of grind. Started off with the manager getting sacked, guy came in, umpteen 2-2 draws, umpteen points thrown away at the death. Maybe we just need to take a break from one another and just fucking go our separate ways for the summer and just go, right, we'll reconvene in July. We'll get a couple of League Cup games under our belts and go at it again.
See the 2-2 draws, and I think I'm right in saying it off the top of my head, they probably feel better results if we're the ones that have come back. Like the one at Tiny, was good, but it feels like we've got loads of 2-2 draws where we've been winning, and that probably doesn't help things either.
yeah,
Because normally 2-2 is quite an exciting game, isn't it? Like it's no boring. But
How does so to go into Jeff's point there? Like, we're talking, like, I think those 2-2 draws. There's been in individual mistakes. How does Montgomery stop the players making those mistakes throughout the season?
I think it's systemic. Like that's the problem with Hibs. If it keeps that, so if it only happened once or twice in the season, you can write it off as it's just individual mistakes. But what we've seen is a pattern of late goals being conceded and individual mistakes contributing to them. So virtually any goal a team concedes will have an element of an individual mistake in it, right? It's very rare that it's like a perfect goal from an attacking team where they just do everything right and the defence can't do anything about it. So you're always going to get individual errors. But what you do is you have a system that limits the impact of the individual errors, or you pick players who have fewer individual errors in them than the ones that we seem to have playing now.
There was something you said there, but I can't remember what it was that I wanted to ask about it more. Like, it was something about implementing a system that limits the mistake that the players are making.
See, again, right, I'm going to pretend I came up talking about here, right? But for full disclosure, I'm repeating a conversation I had with my son, who's just doing his like A license, or so he's just done one of his UEFA licenses, his uni course, and is about to go into his A. And he was talking about Man City and who's it? Xavi Alonso's the German team that's just won the league. Leverkusen. They're set up with defence in mind, so that if they lose the ball, right, so they could take risks. And if they lose the ball, the way that they're set up is to get the ball back again and to sort of mitigate losing it, and that's what tends to happen, right? So although it looks like a really attacking formation, the way that they're actually set up is to recover the ball quickly when they lose it now, because players make individual mistakes and all the rest of it. Man City and Leverkusen will lose goals, and it doesn't always work. But the fundamental is that they're set up in a way that protects the goal, and that is the basis from which they attack. That I would say is your starting point. Like, if you know your goalie can't play an accurate pass to a fullback, did they put a system in place that requires him to play a pass out to the fullback? It's things like this that you said, or ask your fullback to come narrow, get him to come and collect the ball, and then he can make the pass out wide to the winger who's dropped short or whatever. There's ways that you can sort of stay true to your principles, how you want to play, but just mitigate the mistakes. Like, I don't know, I'm not
Right,
football,
no,
I'm not a football coach, and this is
Every team knows we've got a soft centre, and we've just done the same thing. Like we're saying, we kind of keep changing. Like doing the same thing over and over is the first sign of madness. That's what we've done all season. We've just kept the same defence and make the same mistakes all year and not changed anything. We've no put an extra defender in. We've no dropped a midfielder deeper. We've no stopped the crosses coming. We just keep doing the same thing over and over. Surely his job is to go, fuck's sake, man. Why are they getting the crosses in? Why is the centre half not doing that? Why are you dropping so deep? Or why are you so high? Or what the fuck it is they're doing wrong? I don't know what they're doing wrong, but he should know what they're doing wrong, and then he should tell them to stop it and help them by mitigating the risk, like what Matthew's saying. Or Josh
was this
said.
not something that we criticised Johnson for when he was in charge, where the team was inconsistent? So, for example, if, like yesterday, Bashiri goes to header the ball, makes an arse of it. In the Hearts game, he gets caught underneath the ball that's coming out of the sky. And you're talking about not playing in a certain way. Fuck, I'm losing my train of thought here. I'm desperately trying to get it back. But if there's players so if you say that we're not going to play a certain way, we're not going to put you in a position where you can make that mistake, and they then go on and do that mistake, so you replace that player, and then you have an inconsistency in the squad. Inconsistency in the squad selection, then the criticism of the manager is, well, he doesn't know his best starting 11, and that just ramps up the pressure on him from a different point of view.
Aye, so
I'm trying to understand all the different permutations.
Yeah, I get the point you're making, because what we said was, so Johnson had no plan. So Johnson would lose a game, rip everything up, do something different the next week, and it would be different until he won. He would stick with it for 2 weeks until he got beat again, and then it'd be different until we won. And it is like what he did. It's like the revolution rather than evolution. What we need is a manager that evolves what we're doing, and sort of says, well, that's how I want us to play. I can still set up like that, but what do I need to tweak in that system that stops that from happening? So it's not necessarily you need to swap out every player that makes a mistake, right? Might come to that, but you work with them all season, so go coach. Like, if you can, Rocky's fucked up a couple of headers that have come in and it's cost us goals. We're going to spend the whole time there with Rocky. We're going to give him some individual training. We're just going to fucking fire crosses in, have them bounce in front of him, drop down onto the top of his head, get him jumping, get him challenged till he's really, really comfortable with winning headers. And we can mitigate it that way. So it might not be a change to the system, but it's a change to what you do day in, day out on the training. So I think, like these are just like examples off the top of my head. Like I say, I'm not a fucking football manager. I ken like the answer, and there'll be folk listening who do ken that are going, "What's this Fanny talking about?" But that's just like, you didn't need to rip everything up and start again when there's a mistake. When you know, like we're getting that part of it is failing all the time. What do we change to fix that wee bit? Because you can keep those bits of work in. We're attacking all right most of the time. Could improve the finishing or whatever. But that's where we're losing games. We keep conceding daft goals. So how do we fix that bit? And that's a wee bit that you change. That just seems a kind of common sense approach to it. But you didn't need to rip everything up and start again each time you make a mistake or lose a game, which was what Johnson did. Anyway, right, Belgium Lascar said, busy podcast later. Yep, Chris said, enough is enough. Manager change if it's not working. His idea is change the player and play the same way. He is clueless. Plus, Jojo is a no-no. Total crap keeper. Rocky is a joke and needs punting. Plus point, Hanlon needs a 1-year extension. That shows how bad the rest are. Neil Boyle said, well, at least we know that Wollacott is not the answer. He was terrible with the ball at his feet. Also, already knew our defence in the middle is awful and 2 centre-halves needed. We looked like a team on holiday already. And Baz says, absolutely horrific defending from Rocky. Lets him back in the game. He's a liability and has been from first appearance. That's probably Wollacott's audition. Also, Gust. Shambles. We're miles away from the 2016 video that's doing the rounds. Hanlon, I suppose, picked that one out. Hanlon last week when he came in, everybody said that's what we've been missing. He played yesterday, we still made the same mistakes. Would you be, Colin, I'll come to you first and then John will ask you as well. Would you be giving Hanlon an extra year, or do we just need 4 new centre halves? Just start again.
I know, it's a funny one, eh? Because do we know what Hanlon to get to 600?
No.
Is it just Stevenson? No, 4's a big ask, eh, to buy 4. But Hanlon's been there through this whole. You know what? He did make us better last week, and I'm not blaming him for that second goal yesterday. He did get pushed off the ball at one point quite easily by Murray, I think, when he put it across the box. I can't remember the guy.
That was when it rolled across the. Oh no, it was the header.
No, it was the header. The guy should have scored. But I think he's not the answer, is he? Like, you know what I mean? He's a good player, and you know he'll go down as a club legend, and that feels a bit shite the way it's ending for him. But if we're having a clear it, we're having a clear it, eh?
I think that's it. Right, we're out of time. We've still got tons of talking points to do, so I think
it's going to be another extra time classic, isn't it?
I know, we might take them into extra time and talk about it. The other thing is we'll have our phone in on Thursday, and I think on Thursday we might just sort of, I don't know, we might just open up and just have that conversation about the manager. It feels like this defeat just showed that folk aren't properly on board with the idea of no change. So if you want to talk about it and give your views, whether that's to make a case for him staying or a case for us making a change, have a look on Patreon, have a look on Hubwave or on the YouTube members area. The Zoom details will be on there. You do need to subscribe. We have got a 7-day free trial on our Patreon now as well. So you can try it out and you can come online and join us. It'll go out 8 o'clock on Thursday night on YouTube, so you can watch it. But an extra time, I think we'll take some of these talking points and pick through them as well as we draw up to the end of the season. And we'll soon have a wee respite for talking about fucking defeats and defensive errors and all the rest of it. I cannot wait. John, Colin, thanks very much for your input and your opinions this evening. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks for listening, folks, and we will see you next time. I pledged upon. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.